My husband and I paid off over $100,000 of debt on 2 teacher salaries. We weren't making a fortune. And if you want to be exact, it was $111,108 and I believe 29 cents. So we paid all of that off on 2 teacher salaries while growing our family. We didn't do it overnight. It took us 4.5 years. And now to this day, we are debt-free other than our mortgage. We don't ever carry a balance on our credit card. We have 2 cars that are completely paid off. And if I woke up today with 6 figures of debt, if I woke up and I realized I had another 6 figures of debt, here's exactly what I would do. I'm gonna walk you through the 6 things I would do right away. And this is based off of my own personal experience of paying off debt. Some of the things we did right and wrong, I'm sharing it all. Hey, if you're new here, my name is Allison Baggerly. I'm the founder of Inspired Budget and author of Money Made Easy. I'm excited to inspire you and help you along the way, especially if you're on your debt-free journey. Okay, so the very first thing that I would do is I would build an emergency fund as soon as possible. Like, I would go and I would see how much money I had in my emergency fund. And if I had $0, I would not pay off debt right away. I would build up my emergency fund. Now, why would I do this? The truth is that there is going to be a fire, not a literal fire, but a figurative fire, meaning you are going to get hit with unexpected expenses that you didn't see coming. That is the guarantee. If I can guarantee you anything, it's that something unexpected will happen. It's not about if, it's about when. So having your emergency fund really helps kind of take the edge off, and it allows you to deal with unexpected expenses, deal with emergencies when they happen without going further into debt. I honestly believe that even a small amount of money in an emergency fund is helpful. When we were paying off debt, our rule of thumb was $1,000 per person in our family. So when we first started, we had 2 adults and I was pregnant, so we made our emergency fund $3,000. When we welcomed our second son, we upped our emergency fund to $4,000. You don't have to follow that general rule. In fact, I recommend at least 3 months of necessary expenses. But if that feels too big for you, which it might, don't start there. Start with $500. Start with $1,000. Start with maybe even just 1 month's worth of necessary expenses. Our emergency fund saved us so many times. There were times whenever we were hit with unexpected expenses. I remember our dog Joey, may he rest in peace, whenever he was, I want to say 6 years old, he ended up having an accident and it led to him developing gangrene in his leg, and we had to have one of his front legs amputated. He actually ended up living longer with 3 legs than he ever did with 4. And if you didn't know, dogs or animals with 3 legs is called a tripod, like tripod, P-A-W-D, like paw, like a paw. Anyway, we ended up having to pay for that unexpected surgery. It was over $3,000, and it was nice to know that we had at the time $4,000 in our emergency fund that we could cover that cost. And so what we did at the time was we paused all extra debt payments. We were sending anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 extra to debt every month. We stopped doing that. We paid for his surgery, and then we rebuilt our emergency fund. That is just one example of how we used our emergency fund, but I could tell you countless examples. And like I said, it's not about if it's going to happen, it's about when it's going to happen. Another great benefit of having that emergency fund, just to like cover unexpected costs, is that it makes you feel more in control. If you have ever had something happen that you had to pay money and you didn't have that money available, then you know firsthand how out of control life can feel. And that feeling, like that deep pit in your stomach that, oh my gosh, when's the next thing gonna happen? I'm not gonna be able to pay for it. What am I gonna do? Do I take out a loan? Do I put on a credit card? Do I ask family or friends for help? All of that just causes so much stress that literally your emergency fund can take that stress away. And that's exactly what it did for us. Also, having an emergency fund keeps you from going further into debt. I will tell you that being on your debt-free journey, it's already hard enough. Honestly, It is. Making it harder looks like not having an emergency fund, something happens and you have to put more money on your credit card. You have to use your credit card again. So then you're fighting this, I'm taking 3 steps forward, 2 steps back kind of scenario where you start thinking, is this even worth it?
Is this worth it? Don't answer that.
And I promise it is worth it, number one, but it's a lot easier to start doubting it and start kind of getting off track when you're having to go further into debt during your debt payoff process. If I was starting over today with 6 figures of debt, I would set a mini savings goal if I did not have an emergency fund. I would say, okay, I want to get to $1,000 in my emergency fund or $2,000 in my emergency fund. I would set that goal and I would do whatever I could to get to that goal as quickly as possible. I would sell things around my house. I would see if I could take on extra jobs at work or extra hours at work. I would cut back on my spending temporarily to get to that point where I'm like, whew, okay, I have this amount of money in savings. Do not wait until you are debt free to save money, to have an emergency fund. It's really tempting to say, I'll just pay off my debt first. I don't like having this money sitting in savings when it could be going towards debt. No. Don't get distracted and tempted to use your savings or start saving after you pay off debt. Instead, set a goal, ideally 3 months of necessary expenses. But if that's too much for you, which I understand, then start with 1 month of necessary expenses. The second thing I would do if I woke up today in 6 figures of debt is I would stop using debt while I'm working on my debt-free journey. Here's what I mean by this. I know that if you have credit card debt, you likely are still using your credit card. Maybe you're using your credit card to pay for different subscriptions like Netflix or Hulu or your gym, or you're using your credit card for your electricity bills or different fixed expenses maybe you have around the house. Maybe you use your credit card for grocery shopping or dining out because you're trying to get extra cash back or points. No. If it was me, I would stop using debt while in debt. Here's why. When you're actively working to pay off debt, but you're continuing to add to that balance, even if you're paying it off, you are seeing that number go down a lot slower. You are not seeing the impact. You're not seeing the progress that you're making because ultimately you're taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back. You are paying off your credit card. Maybe you're sending an extra payment, but then you have to also pay for what you just spent on it. 2 steps forward, 1 step back is just ultimately 1 step forward. And it does something mentally in your mind when you don't see that progress as much as you wish, or you see maybe that balance go up and down, but ultimately it's going down, but sometimes it goes up a little bit here and there. It is a mental game. It is basically like you're in a sinking boat. It has a hole, right? Picture yourself in a canoe. There's a hole at the bottom of the canoe. It's filling with water. You have a bucket and you're trying to pour the water out of your canoe, right? As it's continuing to fill up. That would get very frustrating. Even if you're getting more water out of your canoe than is coming in every minute, it is still frustrating. So stop using your credit cards. Move all of your bills, all of your recurring subscriptions, things like that to your debit card. So that way you're not adding to that balance at all and you can focus on knocking it out, paying it off as soon as you can. Now, I'm a firm believer that credit cards are a tool. They are not the devil. They are not this terrible, awful, no good, very bad thing. However, we have to use a tool appropriately. And if you have history of using credit cards and overspending, buying impulsively, or racking up credit card debt and not paying it off, then removing that temptation, removing that option is going to help you make progress faster and develop discipline around credit card debt in general. We have to break the cycle before cleaning it up. And this is exactly what we did. We did not use our credit card. We did not use more debt while we were paying off our debt. Now, these days, I do use a credit card. I have different subscriptions come out every single month on my credit card. My husband does the same. We book travel things on our credit card. However, I also pay off my credit card every single Friday. Every Friday, I pay it off in full. I never carry a balance. I never pay interest. And that's the difference between using a credit card responsibly and then letting it build up. So we have to break that cycle and develop those good habits. Get your balance to 0 before you start using it again. So what do you need to do? Pause your credit card use. You could literally like remove it from your wallet, remove it from the apps, stop relying on it in this like just in case situation. And if you don't have an emergency fund, then only use it if you have an emergency and you don't have the money to cover it. Like it needs to be a last resort kind of thing. I also have a full video all about how to pay off credit card debt fast. I walk you through 3 different steps. It's super helpful. I've had amazing feedback on it. I'll link it down below if you want to check it out. The third thing I would do if I woke up today and had 6 figures of debt is I would actually focus on my high interest debt first. I consider high interest over 10%. I would focus on those debts first. However, I do have a caveat here. I do have to say that the debt avalanche method is the method where you pay off debt in order from your highest interest to your lowest interest. Mathematically, it makes sense to do that. If you need motivation and you're like, I need to see a win right away, do the debt snowball. It's worth it in that case. But if I didn't need the motivation, if I was already motivated, if I was already disciplined and I didn't need to see that quick win, then I would focus on my highest interest debt first because that's going to be costing me the most over time. Now, I know myself, I've done this before. I have developed that internal drive and motivation, that internal discipline. That's why I would go with my high interest debt first. However, if you are brand new at this, then paying off your lowest balance card first gives you that quick win. It gives you that proof that, hey, I can do this. I can do hard things. Look, I just did it. There's a win for me. I personally would focus on my high interest debt. Even small balances on high interest debt do rack up quick. Like a $500 credit card that's charging you 26% interest, that money, that interest adds up fast. That's why personally, I would pay off those high interest debts first. But ultimately, you don't need to do it all. Start with your most expensive debt. Start with the highest interest. Make all of your minimum payments on everything else. This is what I would do. I'd make all my minimum payments on everything else, and I would focus all of my energy, all of my attention on that highest interest debt. So you can do this easily by listing out your debts in order from high interest rate to lowest interest rate and really focus all of your time and energy on that highest interest debt, especially if you already have that internal motivation and drive. What I definitely would not do is I definitely would not spread myself thin across every debt. Meaning, if I was able to find an extra $1,000 every month to send to debt, I would send it all to one credit card. What I would not do is take that $1,000 and send $200 to card A, $300 to card B, $200 to card C, and $300 to card D. I would not do that because then you are still making progress, but it's going to take you a lot longer to see that first win. So I would focus all of my energy on my highest interest debt, send every extra penny I can to the principal of that debt to bring down the balance quickly. The fourth thing that I would do if I woke up with 6 figures of debt today, and this is something I did not do, not really, I guess, kind of, it was a little bit different for me, is I would invest to get my employer match. Now, there are a lot of different beliefs about investing while you're in debt. Some people say, don't do it at all. It's a terrible, no good, very bad idea. Some people say, of course you need to invest. You need to be thinking about future you. And I fall kind of in the middle, but more towards the of course you need to invest. This is something we did not do. First off, your employer match is free money. Basically what the business does, your employer, whoever your job is, they say if you invest up to a certain percent, we will match it, meaning we will take the business money and put it into your retirement account as well. They are literally offering you free money for your future. So to me, that's a no-brainer. Now, we did not do this because it wasn't really offered for us. And here's what I mean by that. When we were paying off debt, my husband and I were both teachers. And so in Texas, teachers have pensions. So whether or not you like it, that money every month is coming out of your paycheck and it's going towards the TRS, the Texas retirement system, in your pension. You cannot decide I want to invest more into my pension or less. It's not an option. It's automatic. So we continued to do that. We continued to put money into that pension because it wasn't a choice, right? What I wish we would have done is open up a Roth IRA and start investing even while we were paying off debt, even if it was $200 a month, 100 for him, 100 for me. That's what I wish we had done, because now I know that so much of investing and growing your money comes from compound interest and time in the stock market. And so we paid off debt when I was in my 20s, 24 to 28 or something, or 29. And if I had even just been investing $1,000 a year into a Roth IRA, like that could have really helped us out because it would have had so much time to grow. We weren't given an employer match because of our personal situation, but if I had an employer match as an option, I would be doing that for sure, like no questions asked. I would lower my living expenses to make it work because it is free money. I know you might be thinking, but Allison, like even if I just invest like $200, that's not enough. You do not need to be investing massive chunks of money for it to make a difference. Those small, like monthly investments do add up over time. It's better than nothing. So I would have definitely started that sooner. So here's exactly what I would do. I would log into my 401k plan or whatever retirement plan I use, and I would see, am I investing? Am I getting that employer match if that is something that my job offers? If my job didn't offer that, then I personally would open up a Roth IRA and be investing monthly into my Roth IRA. Right now, at the time of this recording, you can invest up to $7,000 per year into your Roth IRA. And I might not invest that whole amount because that comes out to, let me do the math, 7,000 divided by 12. That comes out to like $583.33 a month. I might not invest that whole amount every single year, but I would try to at least do half of that amount. I would personally do that because of what I know now about compound interest and building wealth. Okay, the fourth thing I would do if I woke up today, right now, opened my eyes, and I realized I had 6 figures of debt, is I would develop a plan, create a plan, and I would track my progress. Having a plan when you're working to pay off debt is so crucial because it takes away your decision fatigue. You don't have to make decisions about which debt you're going to pay off first or how do I find extra money, things like that. I liken it to going to the grocery store without a grocery list. So my husband and I were big meal planners because I don't know if anyone else has experienced this, but we have a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old, and taking them out to eat, all 4 of us, is crazy expensive. So we try to cook as much of our food as possible at home because it saves us so much money, which means that every week we sit down and we write out a meal plan. After we write our meal plan, that is when we make our grocery list. We list out everything we need at the grocery store. And if we didn't sit down and make that list and have a plan before walking into the grocery store, it would look like me walking up and down the aisles of the grocery store, just like wandering around aimlessly, grabbing things that I put in my cart that I probably don't need, probably getting some bagged salad that I'll end up throwing away later, forgetting items that I do need. And I would just be spending more money. I would feel just like not prepared for dinner every night. I might have to go back to the grocery store during the week, and it would just be a big, complete mess. That's what it's like when you don't have a plan and you're paying off debt. You kind of wander around aimlessly. Maybe some months you don't pay off debt. Some months you do. You might change up which card you're focusing on or which loan you're paying off first. And ultimately, you don't see progress, and you're not even aware of the progress that you're making because you're not tracking it. So have a plan and track your progress. Here's exactly what we did. I had a debt-free thermometer right here. That was it. We would color in our debt payoff, and I would wait to color in our little debt-free thermometer with a red Sharpie. I would wait until I lost motivation, until I started thinking like, is this really worth it? I don't think I want to do this anymore. That's when I would get my debt-free thermometer and my red Sharpie, and I would color in my thermometer, because seeing the difference and seeing that color in and being able to physically be like, yes, I paid off this debt, that gave me back some of my motivation. And it felt so much better than any impulse buy. And I promise you will feel the same. It also was really cool because it was like this tangible thing that made it feel like what we were doing is real. And it gave me hope because I could literally see like our hard work in physical form, if that makes sense. I would either get a debt-free thermometer, or if you're like, I don't want that, I don't want to color something in, you can also get my Goodbye Debt Tracker for free. I'll link it down below. And this is great because it's digital and you still get to track your progress and visually see your debts shrink over time. It's very just like visually appealing. It gives you back your motivation. What I would not do is I would not just say, okay, I'm going to pay off debt and then just wing it. Just wing it with my money and not have a plan at all, because I can guarantee you that's how people get overwhelmed and they burn out and they say this isn't working. The sixth thing I would do if I woke up today and had 6 figures of debt and I had to start completely over is I would start small and adjust my expectations. I fully believe that no matter where you are, that you are right on time. It's not too late to start. I've had people reach out to me and they're 55 years old and they have $20,000 of credit card debt and they told me, Allison, I feel like I am so far behind, I might as well not even start. And that is a mentality we need to let go of. I remember feeling so stuck whenever we decided that we wanted to pay off debt. I felt like I had messed up so bad or I was just way behind. Let go of that mentality. I would tell myself that we're not going to spend all of our time sitting in shame and guilt and focusing on my past choices. Instead, I'm going to start exactly where I am. It's okay to start small and go slow when it comes to paying off debt. Every single dollar counts. So even if you're making an extra debt payment that's $500 or $5, every dollar counts. So if you're working to pay off debt, get my Goodbye Debt Tracker for free and resist the urge. This is something I would do if I was starting over. I would resist the urge to compare my journey to someone else's. I actually think I'm pretty lucky that my husband and I started this journey before social media was big. Social media ushered in, I think, so many terrible things, but also some good things. I think that one thing it ushered in was people being open and vulnerable about paying off debt and showcasing their journey, which can be wonderful and it can be motivating and it can be really helpful. However, what I don't want you to do and what I would not want to do is compare my debt-free journey to someone else's debt-free journey, because you don't know their income level, you don't know their situation, you don't know what they're going through. There are so many aspects of someone's finances that you're not privy to. So try not to compare, even if you're kind of looking at other people's debt-free journey as motivation. That's okay. I would totally do that, but focus in on your own journey and getting you where you want to be, right? You agree? Okay, so I want to know, if you woke up today with 6 figures of debt, what would you do? Or if you have 6 figures of debt, or if you have any debt, which of these are you going to put into place today? Let me know down in the comments because I want to hear from you. If you're enjoying these videos, please like and subscribe so that way you don't miss any future videos.